Hello, everyone. Welcome to Scismic's Product Focus. Really excited to be here. And let me just get my screen up here. Sorry about the couple minutes delay. We had a little bit of difficulty. So thank you very much for joining. I'm very excited to share more about Scismic with you and also get to know what your curiosities about Scismic are, any challenges you might be having in hiring scientists, which is what we help with. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chats on the right. Or actually, you can use the Ask a Question box at the bottom menu. All right, so what do we do? Scismic is the talent matching platform for the life sciences. So essentially, we do the heavy lifting of the CV screening process for you. And what this means is our system can create really specific matches so that you only see relevant candidates for your role. And so as a company or as a lab that's looking for a scientist, you would create a job profile. And meanwhile, candidates are creating career profiles in really specific ways. And our system creates an automated match so that only candidates that meet your minimum criteria will be able to see the job. They can then review the job, and if they're interested, they'll apply. So on your side, you would only receive pre-screened applications from interested candidates. And this means that hiring teams spend up to 35 hours just screening CVs. So we take a lot of that burden from you so you can focus on your R&D. So what's different about Scismic? We have very specialized talent matching capabilities. So we have a skills taxonomy that is very tailored for the sciences and also understands which skills are related to each other. So it's not necessarily, it's a very three-dimensional match. It's not a one-to-one match. We also do a weighted match based on your priority criteria and the candidate proficiency on that skill. So you as a company or a lab would be dividing your criteria into priority and preferred techniques and research fields. And that would allow, that would create a weighted match with the candidate skills. You also have the ability to create multiple scenarios for candidates you would consider. I'm going to be doing a live demo today, so I can show you what I mean by that in more detail. But essentially, you can say, I would consider a candidate who comes from with these qualifications and this background, or a candidate with these qualifications and this experience. And then lastly, we provide an instant automated screen of thousands of scientific candidates as you build your job. So this means that we have a really diverse and robust scientific community on Scismic. As soon as you build your job on Scismic, it will actually show you how many matching candidates are currently in our database and how many candidates will be notified of a match if you were to publish the job. So these are our results of Scismic, and these are the 4 things we actually set out to accomplish when we first started it. We wanted to save time in company screening processes. We also wanted to reduce the time to fill. We wanted to increase cost efficiency so that smaller companies and smaller labs could also use us and have access to that diverse pool. And we wanted to increase diversity in the biotech industry. We are actually NIH funded to study how we can reduce bias in a candidate evaluation process and how we can implement that into Scismic. And so far it's been working. Scismic system is 2 times more effective in bringing in underrepresented hires. This is what I mean by that Scismic has a diverse candidate community. We have scientists from various education levels, from both academia and industry. We're about 50-50 gender split, and we are majority people of color. And so actually, when you create a job on Scismic, we will use our diversified sourcing tools to make sure that more candidates that match your job will get onto Scismic, and you will receive more applications. So right now I'm going to do a live demo, and I will show you how you can set up a job on Scismic. You'll be able to see how you can collaborate with your hiring team. So I'll show you the user roles and how the different sections that people can complete on your team, how to set up a job, and then how we can provide extra layers of screening in applications, which has been really useful to hiring managers, especially during this time when they're not able to meet the candidates in person. So I'm just going to pull up Scismic here. All right, so this is basically just a sample job on Scismic. This is what it looks like before it's published, and this is on basically a demo company. So here I can show you the different roles that your team could have on Scismic. We have basically 3 different permissions where a recruiter, for example, would have access to all the positions that your company has posted. They can edit them and they can remove them. And then you have their hiring manager, and the permissions for this would just be having access to one job and being able to edit specific portions of that job. When you first come onto Scismic, you would build a company profile. So here's just a demo of therapeutics. It's a startup. It's located in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where we're headquartered. And you can add your mission and values. And this information will appear with every job that you post. So you don't have to keep repeatedly adding it to each job. And then these are the jobs that your company has. I'm going to show you this scientist, gene therapy, and virology just as an example. So the first couple of sections of this job profile are pretty much what you would see on other job boards. You've got your job title, full-time, part-time, location, and the job description. We also do match on visa sponsorship. So if you have a policy against sponsoring visas, you would say, or if you do not have a policy of sponsoring visas, then you would choose you do not sponsor work visa for candidates. And that will actually be part of the match. So if someone needs, if a candidate needs to have an employer apply for a new visa on their behalf, they won't be able to match to the job. And that's also something that's really helped our international candidates a lot, because they then know that they're not wasting time applying to jobs that wouldn't sponsor their visa. And then here, the next 2 sections are optional. So we have team, department, and career ladder. And this is really for the candidates' information as they're evaluating the position. So candidates have told us that the research aim and the opportunities for growth are really important for them when they're evaluating a position. And this is the way you can show them, this is going to be the team, this is the team size, you're going to be on a small team or a large team, and the candidate can decide whether that's for them or not. And then the research aim. And then here we have the career ladder. So basically, every company has a slightly different career ladder, and candidates might not know exactly where they fall just based on the job title alone. This is especially true for research associate positions for BS, MS level candidates. Every company has a different career ladder. So they want to know, where do I fall in the career ladder? Is this appropriate for my experience level? And what are the opportunities for growth? Can I get promoted to scientist as a BSMS candidate or not? And you can show that here. So because this is a scientist position, you start with a scientist level, and then you can show how they can grow in the position and be promoted within your company. Okay, and the next couple of sections are going to be much more critical for the match. So here you can see that these are the different scenarios that I was talking about. So you can add different scenarios that you would consider for a candidate. Here in this company, let's say for a scientist level candidate, you're looking at someone with a PhD with at least 4 years of postgraduate experience, and you want this person to come in with industry experience as well. So you're asking for at least 2 years. Or you can also ask for, or you might also consider a master's degree with 10 years of experience and 5 years of industry experience. And so what this will do is make sure that your job matches to both of these types of candidates so that you're really getting, a 360 view of all the candidates that you would consider. Some companies won't consider anyone who doesn't have a PhD for a scientist position. And so you would just delete this second scenario and then only match the PhD candidates. And this has helped our companies a lot because generally they are looking for a very specific candidate. They don't want to screen through candidates that don't meet their education criteria. And you can add different combinations of these criteria. So you can play around with, education, total experience, industry experience specifically. If you're hiring for a director or associate director level position, you're going to be looking for management experience in industry and then experience leading a research project. So you can play around with these 5 factors and mix them and combine them as you need, depending on what you would consider. And then here's our skills section. So this is really the meat of our match. And you can see here that you can divide your skills into priority and preferred lab techniques and priority and preferred research fields. So I'll just go into this a bit. We have a very specialized skills database on Scismic, and it's shared between the candidate and the companies. And this way, you won't run into keyword misses that you run into on other platforms. In addition, because as you can see, you're dividing into priority and preferred, candidates on their side are actually dividing their skills into top skills and other skills. So we are able to do a pretty effective weighted match. Candidates need to meet enough of your priority skills at a high enough proficiency level for them to be able to match to your job. And then so as an example of how you would add skills, let's say you want someone who can do Western blot, you would select that. And ELISAs, you would select that. And so you would be able to see the suggestions as you type of skills already in our database. One thing I will note is our system does know which skills are related to each other. So actually, a recruiter may describe a skill set differently than a scientist. And so our system makes sure that even if you're using different language, scientists who have that relevant skill will be directed to your position. An example of that would be biochemical assays. It's a very common recruiter term. But our system will know that Western blots, ELISAs fall under this category. And so if someone puts this term in, scientists who have Western blot or ELISA on their profile will still be directed to the position. So that's our skills section. And lastly, we have our application question section. So you can add application questions that candidates have 1,500 characters or less to answer. So it's only a paragraph, it's not an essay. And this has been really, really helpful to help hiring managers understand if the candidate understands the role, how they fit it and how they can contribute and what their communication style is, as well as their level of enthusiasm. So did the candidate put effort into the questions, or did they not really look at the job? Do they not really understand how they fit in? So we do have template questions you can ask, but one is what is one way you want to grow professionally in this position. You can also create a tailored question. So if this was a senior scientist or an associate director position, you could add something like, give an example of an obstacle you faced managing your direct reports and how you overcame it. So it also really gets to the core of, like, does this person have the experience I need? If they don't have management experience, then they wouldn't be a good fit for this position if it were a more senior position. And then once you build your profile, you can actually see in real time how many candidates are on Scismic that match this job. Once you hit publish, these 350 to 400 matching candidates would receive a notification that they match on a job on Scismic, and they would be able to go onto Scismic, check it out, and apply. And once they apply, I'm going to just show you a dummy application of my profile. So once they apply, this is what you would see. You would see, the candidate, their Scismic profile, so their skills, their total years of experience, their fields. If the candidate volunteered the self-identification information, you would also be able to see that if that's something of interest. You'll be able to see their answer to the screening question. This was a demo, so that's why it's not a real answer. And then you'll be able to see their resume. You'll also be able to see the matching factors. So this is for a different dummy position. And so you'll be able to see whether they, which factors they meet, which factors they don't, and what skills they can actually grow into as you're evaluating them. And then this is all downloadable as a PDF. You'll get their Scismic application with their application answer, and then their CV as well. And so yeah, that is a demo of Scismic. And I'm just going to put my email in the chat in case you have any questions you want to ask afterwards, because I know we're running short on time. All right, so I'll just start from the earlier questions. How does the system measure subjective matters such as enthusiasm and effort in responding to questions? Is the hiring manager able to turn off this feature? Because the manager's view of effort may differ from the algorithm. So we don't match, the application question is not part of the matching system. So when you match the job, you haven't filled out the application. So it's just based on your skills and profile only. So that's not part of the matching algorithm. When did Scismic start, essentially? So we've been around for 2-3 years, and we joined the digital science family earlier this year. Many of these hiring platforms have been criticized for racist screening due to the racist source data. How do you combat this? So the type of factors that go into our algorithm are only qualification and skills based. We don't screen based on school. We don't screen based on past companies. And actually, human recruiters have been shown, and other recruiting methods have been shown to look at that data. But because those populations are biased, we don't look at that. So we're really keeping it to, can this person do the job? Not where are they from, not what school did they go to, or what companies did they work for. Qualifications and skills also have bias. So this is something we actually coach the companies we work with. So we work with them to help them create inclusive job descriptions. We also work with them to make sure that they're not adding like 20 priority skills. We really work with them to identify and parse out which skills are the most critical, and only add those skills to their priority skills. We do know that the more priority skills you add, or the more skills you add to a job description, there are going to be populations or certain candidates that feel less confident in applying. So we really do work with our hiring managers and our companies to make sure that the types of skills that they're adding are actually very critical. We also don't require 100% match to the skills to allow candidates to grow into the role as well. Basically, we're just trying to make sure that the candidates that match can bring value to the job right away. And we are running short of time. We do have a study of NIH studies. I will share it in the next session, actually. So session 6 will be on inclusive hiring and how Scismic can help. And I can answer the questions that are in the Q&A box right now. And I think that's all the time we have. So thank you very much for joining. I hope to see you in session 6 if you're interested in learning more about how we work with hiring managers and companies to help them set up an inclusive hiring practice. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.